as we enter into the sacred space of listening and receiving, I invite you to join me in this short induction ceremony in order to be fully open, receptive, and aligned with the information that is for your highest good in this conversation today. Begin by closing your eyes and taking a deep breath into the belly. And as you're breathing, bring your awareness into your heart center, making contact with the light in your heart. And find your heart light glowing, growing and expanding out around your chest. And now bring that light of your heart up through your crown center, through the top of the head, extending up all the way above you into central sun, making contact with the heart energy of central sun. And then bring that powerful energy down through the ethers into the crown of your head, down through your body, and into your heart center, expanding and joining with the light in your heart, and continuing down to the base of your spine, extending down all the way down into the center of the earth, making contact with the heart center of Mother Earth. And now bring that nurturing energy up through the layers of the earth, carrying liquid crystal plasma through roots up into the base of your spine, and then spreading into every cell of your body, moving into the heart center, joining with the light from above and joining with the light of your heart, creating a holy trinity of light within you, and then spreading out around you, holding space for your highest good, your highest awakening, and the opening to receive the divine downloads, encodements, activations, and light codes that are perfect for you at this time. Breathe that in deeply into your belly, allowing yourself to expand in this energy and opening to step in to the container of receiving. Welcome to the Alchemy of Ascension, Season 6, Exploring Expanded States of Consciousness. I'm your host, Waxéla Sananda, and today it's my pleasure to introduce you to Dr. Karen Kan. Welcome, Dr. Karen.
Hello, Waxela. So happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm so excited to have you. And this is your first time on the Alchemy of Ascension. So I'm excited about what you're up to and what you have to share, because it's all in the realm of conscious life creation, which is what I'm all about. And many of the viewers are so about that too. So I look forward to digging in. But first, I'd love for you, in your own words, to share with us what your work is all about.
Sure, thank you. So I am a medical doctor, so trained in conventional medicine, and now I call myself a doctor of light medicine. I've since retired from conventional medicine and also an acupuncturist, so retired from that. So now I do mostly teaching and training students online. And I founded the Academy of Light Medicine, and one of my flagship programs called the Topacan Healing Method is a methodology that helps people align with their inner source wisdom, ask specific questions about their healing journey using divine muscle testing, and then activating high vibrational healing frequencies to basically do the healing work. So I'm really excited about that. And my mission really is to empower that 30% of people who are highly sensitive in our world. Apparently, that's according to research, to be able to use their sensitivity as a superpower. So they can use their intuiting, manifesting, healing gifts to the highest level, so they can shine their light as bright as possible, and we can all pull the world out of darkness and create and co-create that beautiful future ideal reality of love, joy, peace, and harmony for all.
Ooh, I love that. And I would venture to say that in the world of spirituality and spiritually awakened people, that percentage of empathic people is much higher than 30%. Do you find that too?
Yes, absolutely. So pretty much over 95%, I would say, of the people listening and watching you and your work are definitely in that camp. And same thing with me, I would say, well over 95%. But what's really interesting is I've noticed that highly sensitive person, that definition, even though that hasn't really changed over 30 years, the percentage went from 20% of the population to 30. And now a lot of our young people and children and babies that are born are in that sensitive camp. So they're sensitive to energy. They have really amazing connection to their intuition. And so it's wonderful to see our world shifting and changing.
So good. Yeah, it really is. And I find it's, it really is one of our superpowers. Like you said, it's so many people, I feel like and especially maybe before this awakening process has expanded, there are just so many layers and layers upon, even if they were born sensitive, the world, the way that it is, has kind of had us create veils and boundaries around ourselves so that we can't feel. And I know I was in that category as a child. I was very sensitive, but then life happens, and I had put up all of these just, boundaries and blocks. And I think by the time I was in high school, I wasn't feeling so much anymore. I just kind of lost touch with that. And then when I had my spiritual, more spiritual awakening experiences, that's when I realized, oh, I gotta do something to open this up, because you can't really access your intuition when you're closed off. So I love that that's part of your work. Is that what what is the process that you developed called?
The Topacan healing
Topacan healing. Is that what a major part of it is about?
Well, that's a great question. I actually wrote a book called Sensitivity is Your Superpower: How to Harness Your Gifts, Fulfill Your Purpose, and Create a Life of Joy. And that is to help those highly sensitive people kind of start to tune in and tap in to those sensitivity superpowers. And then in the Topacan healing method, we actually take that one step further and actually use those skill sets in inquiry and healing, specifically healing, whether it be physical or non-physical, issues. So that is a healing modality. And the book is more about, introducing people to that whole idea, first of all, that we have superpowers, like we all do. We all have intuiting and manifesting, healing superpowers. We just don't know that we do. And like you growing up, a lot of people learn to shut that down because, first of all, it's not considered normal. And sometimes we get critiqued or judged for our sensitivity, like stop being so sensitive, grow a spine, all sorts of things. And so we shut down. But like you said, at some point, all of us get to a place, for me, it was the dark night of the soul, for many it is as well, that we can no longer be pretending to be who we are not. We have to be who we really are, which means that highly sensitive person. And then sometimes this awakening comes very abruptly and it's quite disruptive. And other times it's just this yearning to know that something is different, because we just feel blank, we feel numb, we feel like something's missing from our lives. And then we go onto the search and inquiry of like, what is it that I'm missing? So I'm here to help people fill in that gap, to help them really realize, wow, I didn't know I had such superpowers. Like in the book, for example, we talk about weather magic. We talk about transformational telepathy, how to change the weather, how to change and transform your relationships from conflict to one of peace. So there's a lot of things that people can do right away.
I love that. I want to know about more about that. I'm sure we'll kind of dig into some of those things as we move in here. So, you talk a lot about conscious life creation, about creating your reality. And I think just for starters, let's just start there. Let's go to the very beginning. What does it mean in your perspective to create your reality?
Well, so many people were just enamored with, myself included, with the movie The Secret and learning about the law of attraction and all that kind of stuff. And it was a fantastic jump start, a place where we can go, whoa, you mean my thoughts and emotions do something? You mean I'm not a victim of life? So I really give them a lot of credit for awakening millions of people to that possibility. And it was incomplete. So in other words, people struggled to some degree. They're like, well, I'm thinking, positive thoughts. I'm really trying to think positive thoughts. I'm trying not to think negative thoughts, and I'm meditating and I'm doing all the stuff, but my life isn't changing. I don't get it. Why isn't there a bag of money falling on my head? And I certainly struggled. I like the idea of it. I tried really, really hard, but what I didn't understand was that when things would happen in my life that were undesired, not desired, I started blaming myself. Like, oh, I create my own reality. So I created this injury, or I created this thing, and that really sucks. And then I'm like, oh, wait, I'm not supposed to say it sucks. Okay. And so we can get into this quagmire of self-doubt and dissatisfaction, disillusionment, when we just take for face value, I create my reality. So over the years and just studying and learning what works and what doesn't work, I've come to the understanding that no matter what happens in the outside world, that our ability to create our reality has to do with our perception of what's going on in our opinions, I suppose, what's going on, and then our response to those things. In other words, people will argue, does a newborn baby create their cancer? How can they create their cancer? They're just a baby, right? So that was very confusing to me early on, and I think it may be confusing to other people as well. And then I realized later on, thanks to a whole bunch of really wonderful teachers and experimentation and synchronization, all those kinds of things, that there is a co-creative process of all of our consciousnesses together. So some people may call it mass consciousness, or the consciousness of humans, that we together are creating the bigger outer reality of what's going on, which does include things we say we don't want. It includes war, it includes famine, it includes disease, it includes cancer, it includes all these things we say we do not want. So am I the only one individual consciousness, that's the cause of all these things? The answer is no. So people, we have to stop blaming ourselves for everything so-called bad that we see in the world. However, we do have a portion of that responsibility because we are an individuated consciousness of all of creation, or all of source. So each one of us is like a little light, or a little facet of a diamond. And so we can co-create a reality together. So you can see the results of what we've co-created so far, given our consciousness as a group, as a collective, in the past. And for our own individual reality, yeah, sometimes so-called bad things happen. But what if they weren't bad? What if they were just a stepping stone to the next level of your evolution? And instead of reacting to it, we respond to it. We go into a place of peace. We go into a place of love. And that's where the magic really starts to happen, because when we perceive whatever is going on outside is okay, even if we don't desire it, and we are able to respond to that with love, with understanding, with empathy, then the universe does start to make these humongous, although seemingly invisible, changes initially to our lives. And all of a sudden things are more magical in our lives. Synchronicities happen. We don't struggle as much. We don't have to struggle at all. Actually, things just start happening. Money comes in, relationships, opportunities. I mean, I've met so many amazing people just from the practice that we're going to talk a little bit about today, of how to access that 0 point field, that source of inner wisdom. It's not easy and it's free. I love that part. And that informs our actions, which then is inspired action. And that's how we create, our personal reality and contribute to the bigger reality for humanity.
Yes, yes. I love how you worked in non-judgment. And it's so very important that we don't look at everything that happens and judge it along the way, because that's, as humans, we do have a tendency to do that, especially judge ourselves. We did that wrong, or, it must be something wrong with me if bad things are happening. Sometimes we just, we set up life challenges for ourselves in order to grow. Yep. And that, I feel was part of the collective and the blessing of getting to be here on, in this dualistic experience on this planet, because we have these unique situations where we have turmoil and chaos to overcome that maybe we don't have in some of the higher realms. So there is a special opportunity to grow as a soul in this experience, if, like you said, we can not get into our heads about thinking something's wrong and respond rather than, then go into self-doubt and judgment.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'd love to hear about this process. That is, you said not easy, but
no, I said it's easy, actually.
It is
free and easy. Yes, it is free and easy.
Oh, free and easy. I thought you said not easy, but free. So that's even better. Easy and free. And yeah, tell us more about what is that all about?
Okay. Well, I do need to give a little bit of a backstory. So I have not been, let's just say, a big fan of meditation in the past. There's been all this data now about the benefits of meditation in terms of, medical benefits, things like that, blood pressure, stress relief, so on and so forth. And yet I could not make myself 20 years ago do it, because I had the erroneous feeling of, okay, I have to sit still, I have to close my eyes, I have to watch the thoughts, and I would get bored in about 5 minutes. So it would last probably 3 days, and then I would quit. And so even though my spiritual teacher was very kind and very patient with me, I just couldn't make myself do it. And I was just very much a, busy person, and gung-ho on action. And it wasn't until I read a book by Dr. Frank Kinslow about the secrets of instant healing. Well, I liked the word instant. So I read that small book and realized with his procedure that, hey, wait a second, I know how to do that. I just feel energy in my body and I get to the same place that he's talking about. So I thought, this is easy. And so I did interview him, and what was wonderful was he's like, yeah, some people are not made, their physiology, their personality, not made to sit there and do 3 hours of meditation. Other people are, and then they can't understand why the other people can't do it. He said, you are like my wife. She's constantly moving. But he says the cool thing is you can meditate on the fly. You can actually do this, be as you do. And that was like, ding, 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 ding. This is so great. So I actually developed this technique to describe to my students a really, really easy way to get into what people call the meditative state, or the still point. And then I realized when I was in the still point while doing things, so I was being while I was doing, that the doing would be so much easier, and it would seemingly inform the universe as if I was seeding the quantum realm with my ideal future, because things started happening, miracles started happening. And part of the healing modality that I created, that is the basis of that, to align to your own inner source, being your own God within, and be able to do the healing from that space. So stillness through observing internal movement is the title of the technique. And for short, we say stoim. And it is a way in which, especially for busy people who are constantly moving, it may be a great technique for them to learn, because it gets you to the same place or doorway into stillness where you can access the quantum and therefore be able to co-create or create your reality much, much easier than kind of struggling with traditional meditation. Not saying that that is bad or anything like that. If that works for you, keep doing it, of course. But for those of people, those of you that are not into that or just can't make yourself do it, this is much easier. And so I am happy to just demonstrate real quick the steps involved. And of course, there's more detail in my Sensitivities Your Superpower book. Do we have time for that, Waxela?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, great. Well, it's like we talk about 5D in 5 minutes. This actually takes longer to explain than it does to do. So it's very, very simple. So the idea is we focus our attention to the inside of our bodies and we feel any movement there. Now, some people are not really attuned to their bodies. You and I are very different, but a lot of people that are new are like, I don't feel anything, right? So what we do is we amplify the energy running in the body so they can actually feel it. So what I tell people to do is just rub their hands, really, 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 really fast and get some heat going. Okay, and then stop and close the eyes and then focus the attention on the inside of the body and then start to feel any heat, movement, vibration, waves in the body, and then just follow where they go. So a lot of times people will notice closing the eyes is really helpful because they can really then focus on the movement. So where do you feel it right now, Waxela?
It's like in the back of my neck and upper shoulders. It's kind of like a lifting, expanding feeling.
Interesting. Okay. A lot of people will feel like stuff in their hands because they just rub them, and the other times it moves. And sometimes people will notice there's more movement or energy on one side of the body than the other, and that's completely okay. The idea is not to judge or even label things. If someone has a pain, for example, they can even just focus on that area and just to see, do I feel movement there or don't I feel movement there? Without any judgment. And as we do that, what happens is we still the mind, not because we tell the mind to shut up, but because we are telling the mind to do something. So see if we can open our eyes and still continue feeling energy movement in the body. This is a little bit more challenging. I actually do it when I do teaching, speaking, whatever I'm doing. I'm learning to actually practice this even while I'm watching a movie or something like that. And when it's very exciting or scary, what I notice is that I can feel the energy like changing in my body. It's fascinating. And that sometimes it's less entertaining watching a movie that way, but what's really neat is that we're constantly connected to the 0 point field in that space. And whatever we have already said we desire starts to increase that path to what it is we say we want. So in other words, consciously creating our ideal future just by tuning into the state. And it doesn't require 20 minutes at a time, 10 minutes at a time, or even 5 minutes at a time, even though we call it 5 minutes and 5D in 5 minutes, seconds. Just a second here, a second there, a minute here, 3 minutes here, throughout the day. And magic really happens when we can kind of hit that 8 to 10% of the waking time. But there's no, it took me 4 years, 3 years to get to that point. So it's a process, and we just find people can get and access instantaneous peace there. So just curious if you're still feeling some energy in your body, and then, turn to your emotions and what does it feel like?
Yeah. So just to clarify, the process is really about consistent mindfulness of the physical sensations of energy in the body.
Right. You could say it that. Now, some people will have their own opinion. When you say the word mindfulness, they start shutting down, especially if they're like, ugh, I tried that. Right. So I just want to make it clear for everyone, we're turning our attention to a specific thing, in this case, the feeling, the energy moving in our bodies. And why do we do that? Well, it's because it's one of the best ways to get the monkey mind out of the way, because you are so focused, like, where do I feel the energies? On the left, on the right, up, down. Oh, there it is. That you keep it so busy that it doesn't have necessarily time or attention to go, what are we having for dinner? Oh, my neighbor was so mean to me today, and blah, 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 right? Because you're like, oh, wait, what am I feeling? Oh, there it is. So you can always bring it back to that. So I just find that 80% of people, Waxela, that I notice that are sensitive souls are clairsentient as their dominant clair, or their dominant superpower. So why not use that ability to feel as your doorway into stillness and your doorway into manifesting your ideal reality.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Just keep bringing it back to the physical, which is an embodiment practice as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you can't manifest in the future if you're not here. Because if you're
Yeah.
somewhere else, there's not enough energy circuits in the now to create the new future.
I love that. Yeah. So I get I'm more clairvoyant. So I'm always seeing pictures. That's my dominant.
Okay. So there's a
And
different exercise for you then.
it is a little like, oh yeah, the focus on the body, which I do teach embodiment because it's so important for us, as spiritual people. We a lot of times like to get out of body and hang out outside the body
Oh yeah.
is not
So much more fun
effective.
sometimes. It's a skill, but also sometimes we do have to come down to earth and be here to manifest.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very
Yes.
important to be in the body. And that, like you said, that is our point of manifestation. That's how we get to create when we're present in the body so that we can actually generate from where, this is our where we are point while we're here, while we have a body. So you had asked me, yeah, I still feel that. I always have this feeling when I really tune in meditatively into my body of I like to call it my mermaid gills. But
How
like
fun.
this like area of my neck, I feel like I don't know. I've definitely got a superpower there. Like in mer life, that's where how I would breathe. So I always start to feel these neck muscles. That might sound strange to some people, but I know we've got a lot of mer people on this
Aliens,
show. So
angels, yes.
yes. So that's what I always get present to. And when I feel that, I know that that's like I'm psychically tuned in. I pick up a lot of information that way.
Yes, that's a great point. I'm so glad you brought this up because people are constantly saying, oh, Dr. Karen, I really want to amplify my spiritual gifts, to really connect to my intuition more and more and more. And many people have taught this, but I didn't get it until I actually felt it, is that when we can focus our minds to do a job like feeling energy in our bodies, there is space. And that space is where the universe goes, oh, thank goodness they stopped chattering. We can give them the guidance now, right? So the guidance is always there, actually. But our minds are so blah, 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 and they're so busy, we don't acknowledge or can even feel, see, hear the guidance. And what happens is when we're so focused on the energy running in the body and just focusing our attention there, sometimes an idea will pop up, or a clairvoyant person might just see an image. Like, it's a great way to find your keys, guys. Okay. Because I classically was not very good at that. And then what I would do is, okay, settle down. Okay, fine. Feel the energy in my body. And then eventually within a few minutes, there's an image in my mind. It's very quick. It might be, oh, left-hand side pocket, black sweater, right? I'm like, oh yeah, I wore that yesterday, right? And I go right to it and there's the keys. So we get these intuitive hits when our mind is still, and we can receive guidance as to what our next best step is if we allow that space to happen. So that's fantastic. You mentioned that because that is how that all connects in.
Yeah. And that's so important. I love that you brought in, well, what's really striking me about this conversation is that I think a lot of people, when we talk about expanded states or accessing your intuition or connecting, embodiment and all those things, it feels like this big thing that you have to try and grasp, or big concepts that are like way out here. And how do we bring that home? You're making it so accessible. Like it's just a moment of awareness, and boom, you can get that flash of intuition and, be present in your body, and then access these other states from that presence.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for saying that. I like to be practical. Maybe that's the medical doctor and the biochemist in me, because I'm a little bit of a nerd that way. I like science and, how all that works. So sometimes when folks get super, super esoteric, now my stuff is pretty strange anyway, but, when they get too out there, then sometimes I just find my eyes glazing over because I just want to know, how is it going to work or help me right now? With my problem that I have right now. So this is what I'm saying, is that this is just a doorway to stillness. It doesn't have to be the doorway, but just a doorway that I have found really helpful for me, my students, my clients, to tune into, because in that space they automatically get hits, like intuitive hits. And sometimes if they're clairaudient, they get a word or a sentence, it just blurts out of their mouth. It's really fascinating. And so we get them, practicing those superpowers, and there's a slower step by step and a greater information and explanation in my Sensitivity as Your Superpower book.
Awesome. Yeah. It's something I've noticed in my, my own, I have a specific, and I'll admit, I am one of those 3-hour meditators. I can sit for hours upon hours. If I had like 10 more hours in the day, to meditate, I would do it, because I really enjoy that. I don't know if I started out that way, but I love it. So I'm one of those, maybe I'm unique, but I love to meditate. But so I have different types of meditations that I do. And one of them is a specific, like when I'm working on manifesting something in my life. And I love that you presenced the feeling aspect, because I notice when I'm getting there, like when I'm really like accessing what it is that I'm creating, I feel this, it's like an inner doorway, but it's a feeling. I suddenly feel I'm already there.
Yes.
It's like everything else drops away and it's like, I got it. I'm here. I got it. I feel it. And then I know it's just a matter of the outside world catching up to what I already.
That's right. Yeah, that divine timing. And that's a wonderful place to be. And like you spoke about embodiment, it's one thing to think, positive thoughts, or think about what it is we wish to create in our world or for the greater world, like world peace or something like that. But it's another thing to be able to be in it. So when we can vibrate in our bodies already having or already being there, it actually informs the quantum of, this is the reality. Okay. So then it actually shifts and changes the molecules to materialize that particular new reality for us. And yes, there is a lag time, but it is amazing just how much us being able to feel the new reality helps with our manifesting. Like athletes do it all the time, right? Like, if they're at the highest levels, for example, the bobsledder, they'll go down a run and they'll know where the turns are and everything like that. And even when they're injured, and I had somebody like that at the Olympic Training Center. We were training some bobsledders and in this, free workshop that I was doing for them before the 2010 Vancouver Olympics. And so we had bobsledders, we had, Nordic skaters, skiers, and a luge, I believe, athletes there. And so we taught them muscle testing and all sorts of things. But one of the things we did was get them to vibrate as if they've already won the Olympics. So we did a celebration and we had them embody it and pretend that they've already won. And their job was to hoot and holler and celebrate as if they've already won, to get into that vibration, to embody it, to be in the body as if they've already won. What was fascinating was there was one young person there, Ethan, who was so into it, and he was shouting the loudest. And and what's very interesting is one of the people that had qualified for the Olympics was very embarrassed to do we didn't make anybody feel bad or anything, but she just wouldn't do it. And what was fascinating as well is that I was disappointed at first because Ethan broke his arm and he missed the Olympic trials and he didn't end up going to the Olympics. And I was like, oh man, how's this all working, right? And the other people that were already in went to the Olympics. But what's fascinating is that he turned that around because of his attitude. And he came back stronger than ever. And he could visualize, but not just visualize, but see and feel the track as he's running down the track. So what do you do when you can't bobsled? You bobsled in your mind, right? I'm a figure skater, so I figure skate in my mind. My coach used to say, wow, you practiced hard this week. And I'm like, not really. I just practiced in my head. And he's like, you keep doing that, right? So it's amazing. So he ended up, after everything got repaired after the Vancouver Olympics, he won, I believe it's a 2-person bobsled, the World Cup. He won a gold medal in the World Cup.
Wow.
Now, the other gal that refused to do the exercise, I'm not saying this is because of that, but she came in, not very great in the Olympics. But it's very interesting to me that she just wasn't willing to even pretend that she had won. Like somehow it was embarrassing. She didn't feel worthy. I mean, there's all sorts of things that it could have been. But it's amazing how athletes in general, the top athletes, already know how to do this.
Oh, I love that. That's so valuable that we, and another reason to celebrate our wins ahead of time,
Yes,
whatever
yes.
they are.
Yeah.
And I think it's telling that if you can't feel yourself in the outcome that you think you desire, then you've got some work to do. You've got to be able to feel it to have the experience. So thank you for that. I love that you broke it down that way, and powerful for athletes or anybody trying to create anything really to be able to celebrate it, visualize it, see yourself at the end, and then feel, not just see, but feel yourself at the end.
Yes. And working with children is great because they don't have any filter that says they can't do that, right? So sometimes it's easier to teach children than adults because adults, they have all these subconscious conditioning over top and over top. And I've had some adults say, I can't do it. I can't see a positive outcome. Like I can sort of, because one of the exercises will write it down as if it's already happened, And, I had one client said, I'm really struggling with this. And so she had so much backstory about her parents and how they treated her and that kind of thing. But we actually had to do some healing work first so she could embody it, which she was eventually able to do. And then things started shifting and changing in her life as a result of that. So sometimes there is some work that needs to be done internally and sometimes with the help of someone else.
Absolutely. Yes. And it always helps to have a coach. And I know so you do acupuncture as well, right?
Not anymore. I'm retired.
Okay. You used to. I know I've had some acupuncturists that also do energy work, and they've been able to kind of tune in to help me clear blocks, and I think that's really powerful too. So you made a statement in something that I read that I really want to ask you about. It's you talk about how a single individual has the power to make a big difference in the fabric of reality. And that's fascinating to me. So I really want to hear what you have to say about that.
Sure. One of the things that people may already know is that Rupert Sheldrake talks about something called positive morphic fields or positive morphogenetic fields. Now, positive meaning that it's a blueprint of something that we desire or want. A negative morphic field would be something we don't want. So I put the words negative and positive in front of his terminology, morphogenic field. So as an illustration to this, one person making a big difference, I'll give you two, both from athletics. One is Roger Bannister ran and won the first 4-minute mile in the world. 20 years prior to that, throughout that 20 years, doctors and experts said that it was physically impossible for the human to run that fast. Yet he did, right? But it 20 years of people saying you can't, and he did it. But what's fascinating, even more fascinating than his amazing accomplishment, is that afterwards, within the next 18 months, a lot of other people broke that record as well and have even gotten now, faster times. So one could say, well, Roger Bannister probably just really inspired people, so since he could do it, they felt maybe they could do it. But you know what? That is a thought process. That's actually not what happened. What he did when he broke that record was that he created a positive morphic field of already having done it. And every other athlete who could aspire and work hard, whatever it is that they need to do, didn't actually have to use his personal inspiration. They already have that morphic field or blueprint available to them. They tap into it and now they can do it. So these blueprints are things that are unseen with the visible eye for most people anyway. And whenever one of us breaks our own limitations of what, our own limitations to reality and creates a miracle, we're not just doing it for ourselves. We're doing it not just for our family or our community. We're doing it for the world because everyone and beyond, because everyone can tune in, tap into that positive morphic field. So if someone's struggling with fibromyalgia, for example, overcomes it like I have, the autoimmune, multiple chemical sensitivities, allergies, depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation, all that kind of stuff that I went through, right? I have now the blueprint of already having overcome it. So anyone who wishes to and is open to it can just tap in and tune into that positive morphic field, makes their job a lot easier. They do not have to struggle as much as I did. And that's the beauty of it, is these morphic fields aren't localized into our physical local space. They are energetic, and therefore time and space, there are no limitations. And back to the 2010 Vancouver Olympics, the athletes in Canada who hosted it were getting such flack from the media. They were just terrible. I felt so bad for them. The media was just giving them so much flack about how Canadians never win at home. They are such a disappointment. I'm like, wait a seed, guys. Like Canadians never win at home, and they have this horrible legacy of never winning at home. Well, one guy early on in the Olympics, the first week, won a gold medal for Canada in ski moguls, and Alexander Bilodeau. After that, I think Canada won like 9 gold medals. I mean, it was the most any home hosted Olympics hosting country had ever won up until that point. They won so many medals. They won all these gold medals, and I knew it was because he broke and disintegrated the old morphic field of we can't do it, we never do it. And he blasted that and said, yes, we can. So he set it up that we can, and just everybody just followed suit. And yes, of course they got inspired, but he created a brand new positive morphic field of, Canadians can win gold on their home soil. So there.
Yes, I love that. It's so true that, and I feel like that's a huge reason why, like people like you and I do these public appearances, why I create the Alchemy of Ascension programs, because we're painting a picture of what's possible for the people who want that, but maybe haven't had access to it. And I feel like that really is service. It's a great service to the world to be able to say, okay, maybe your family, your religion, your friend, everybody has always said, no, that woo-woo stuff or whatever, none of that's true. But yet to follow your heart and step in to what is possible, your superpowers, and your, like really stepping in and making your empathic abilities or your sensitivities your primary best, asset. That type of thing is a service to everybody else who has that and who has maybe looked down upon it or felt like it was a disability rather than a superpower.
Yeah, absolutely. And just for everyone, you don't have to be me. You don't have to be Waxela and doing what we do on a big scale, right? You don't have to have all these followers and all these things. You doing your own work in your own world makes a huge difference, because think of the millions of people, billions of people on the planet, and every one of us shining our light brighter, that illuminates the entire world. And it's like our morphic fields connect with each other and amplify that. So one person does make a difference. In fact, with weather magic, for example, I had 20 people when I first started in my group, and I taught them kind of loosely a form of weather magic. Now it's much better in the book, but I said, hey, there's a hurricane. It's 2016. Hurricane Patricia's already hit landfall in Mexico. It's going to devastate. It's going to kill people. Help! Right? So I had 20 people in my Facebook group. So they're like, okay, we're on it, right? But within a number of hours, by the next day, I kind of forgot about it, actually. My husband said, well, it worked. I said, what are you talking about? He goes, well, you kind of did the hurricane healing, right? I'm like, oh, yeah, what's going on? And he says, well, it kind of petered out, like it's kind of a rainstorm, and nobody got hurt. There was no major damage. But this was literally like the media was like highlighting a 216 mile per hour wind is going to devastate. You know how the media is, right? Mm-hmm. All this flashy drama, and then nothing, just nothing. It just rained. That was it. And I was like, woohoo. Now, if 20 people can do that, right? And we've done tons of hurricane and, made it rain where there's fires, and stopped rain where there's floods, all sorts of things. Of course, like a one little person can do a lot, because we all, at the end of the day, want that desire to have peace, love, joy, radiant health, and harmony for all. So that is the underlying foundation of what it is we desire. And that's why whenever we, each individual, do our own work, big or small, it makes a huge difference.
Yes, beautiful. I love that. Thank you. I think that's a great note to kind of close on. And I want to make sure people know you have some great things to offer here. First of all, you have a free gift, which is called Stillness on the Fly Training and Guided MP3 Download. Tell us about that.
Sure. So the stillness on the fly meditation, we kind of did a little bit of it today, the basics of it, the stillness through observing internal movement. So this little freebie is just a really quick 30-minute training to give you a little bit more in depth and practice in it. And there's other levels of sophistication. It's, again, not hard, just, when you get used to it. Like, for example, we already did a little bit extra with you, Waxela, because it's you, right? You can open your eyes and still feel the energy in the body, right? Mm-hmm. So we talk about in the book as well, how to use it specifically for manifestation. So this 31 minute mini training really dives into the technique, how to do it, teach it to your kids, teach it to your grandkids. I'd love people to spread that around. And the guided MP3 is just to walk you through it until which time it's just automatic, and then you don't really need it anymore. But I really love giving this away free, because when people tune in to their superpowers through that 0 point field, magic happens.
Ooh, yes. And we all love that magic. So thank you for that. That's so generous. I'm excited to listen to that. And then you also have a special offer, which includes your ebook, Sensitivity is Your Superpower. Tell us about your offer.
Right. So the Sensitivity is Your Superpower book is my #1 international best-selling book. And there's actually, I'll show the cover here. All right. So the book is in 3 sections, and there is like a being, sensing, and creating. And there are exercises, very practical things actually, in each section, so you can actually start using your superpowers right away, whether that be honing your intuition, creating a new reality, things like weather magic, traffic magic, transformational telepathy, transmutational bubble magic. So you might feel like a little bit of a magician while you're doing this, but just know that all these things are safe. It really is just tuning into source and being able to use your imagination, which humans do a great job anyway. Since we imagine horrible things happen, we might as well imagine great things happening, and literally focusing those superpowers on being able to create your new reality. So the book is there, the ebook is there, and for your listeners, we do have a bonus. It's worth about $1,000, and this is downloads, mini trainings from myself, as well as some of my closest colleagues, to just support people on their healing and their evolving journey.
Wonderful. So you're not just getting the ebook, you're getting $1,000 package of goodies along with it.
Yes.
Yay. Thank you so much, Dr. Karen. This has been a wonderful conversation. I really feel like this is going to serve so many people, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you for all you do.
Oh, my pleasure. And thanks for having me and helping me share my message together with yours.
Absolutely. And for everyone watching, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next session. Namaste. If you're looking for spiritual community on your ascension path, you have found it. The Alchemy of Ascension community membership is a brand new membership that I have launched to bring together spiritual seekers, people who are actively working their ascension path, their ascension journey. And I know that for me, when I was younger and deeply into my spiritual path, I felt really alone on my journey. I didn't have spiritual community. And part of my mission now is to bring together people from all walks of life, from all over the world, and create a platform where we get to share together and be together. I will be in there with you every month doing activations and sharing information. I am really setting it up as an interactive community experience. So it's not all about me, it's about you. You get to meet like minded people, interact with each other. There will be plenty of opportunities in a forum where you can chat, where you're not on social media. So you're all in this protected container together. There will be a book club. There will be mastermind opportunities. There will be breakout groups where you just get to know each other, get connected, get related, and make new friends. This is the very thing that I always wished that I had when I was younger and just starting out on my path. It is my greatest service to be able to provide this for you at a really low cost that I think is very fair. And so founding members are going to get to enter at $33 a month. And that will provide everything that the membership has to offer and a wonderful, beautiful experience as a member of an Ascension community. So if this is speaking to you, if this is something that you're interested in, find the link below and join me as a founding member. This is a limited time opportunity for founding members, and there will be a hard stop. We will close this opportunity at the end of the summit. So join us now and be part of this brand new community for all of us who are working on our ascension together. I appreciate you. I love you. Namaste.